Chapter 4. The Best Policy. Luca paused for a moment, catching his breath. He'd only just met Beck, and somehow he already managed to drag her into this mess. Hopefully he could make it up to her, but finding Rollo was his primary concern.
Property of Valentine Fertilizer Company. Looks old. Luca, what the hell are you doing out here? And why did a kid with gray hair just run past in a panic?
Roxy and Fitz looked drained. It was clear they'd spent all day searching.
That's Beck. I don't care who she is. What happened? We were just helping look for Rollo. Luca, I need you to start telling me the truth.
Roxy's temper could often be dismissed as the impatience of an older sibling, but this was the most intense Luca had ever seen her. Her eyes were wild and unfocused, looking straight through Luca.
We're running out of time.
In a torrent of rambled words and tears, Luca broke down.
Rollo and I weren't just playing in Weewood yesterday. We were investigating lights at the old Valentine warehouse. But someone was there in a strange suit. And we hid in the dumpster and had a heavy bag dropped on us. And I think it was a body. And so we ran, but we got split up. And I ran home. And it's all my fault. And now my best friend may never come back. Wow. Just wow.
Roxy, still exhausted and angry, softened briefly as her eyes hunted the ground in thought. With a determined sigh, she looked up at Luca.
It's not your fault, Luca. Rollo's gonna be okay, I promise.
Roxy drew herself up.
I'm gonna fix this. Luca, go home. But I want to help. This is too dangerous for a kid. I can't just sit around. I have to do something.
Roxy tried to think of the safest place to send Luca.
You go back to that little treehouse you two like to play in. Wait there in case Rollo shows up. Sound like a plan?
Luca wiped his cheeks and gave a quick nod.
You did the right thing telling me the truth. Now scoot. You really believe his story? What other option do we have? Things have been strange around here leading up to the festival. My dad has been acting weird lately. Well, weirder than normal.
Looking into the puddle, Roxy rubbed her arms to warm up.
Why is it so cold here? This place gives me the willies.
Mr. Nuncree jumped with a start.
Whoa. Whoa. Don't sneak up on an old fella like that. Sorry. Who are you talking to? What?
Luca motioned to the phone booth.
Oh, no. I was just checking because I thought I heard it ring. But the dang thing never does, of course. Yeah, I never seen anyone use it, really. The whole thing's a waste of money, if you ask me. Any word from Rollo yet? Not yet. Long time for a boy to lose his way. Rollo knows those woods too well to get lost. I suppose you're right. Silly boy's antics have this whole town worried sick. Antics? We all know Rollo likes to play his little pranks. You think this is a prank? What other possible explanation could there be? He's not playing a prank, and he didn't get lost. Someone took him. I know it. How would you know that? Unless... Thank you for stopping by when you could artistically. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Luca, is there something that you know?
Mr. Nuncreed gently placed one of his substantial hands on Luca's shoulder.
Dang it, boy. If there's something you know, something that could help your friend, you need to tell folks.
Luca peered up at Mr. Nuncreed. Kind eyes warmed a stern face. There was a deeper emotion hiding beneath it all. It was subtle, but Luca could sense something eating away at him. There was a shame lurking behind those eyes. A deep sadness. If Mr. Nuncreed was that worried about Rollo, maybe he could help.
Yesterday, Rollo and I were messing around at the old Valentine warehouse.
Mr. Nuncreed raised an eyebrow.
Both of you? You were with Rollo when he went missing? Not exactly. I was hiding in the dumpster. The dumpster? What were you doing in there? At first, we were just looking around. Then someone in a strange yellow suit came and dumped something on us. We both got scared and ran. That was the last I saw of him. You got scared by some garbage? Well, that's why you don't skulking in someone's dumpster. But it wasn't garbage. I think it was a body. I'm sure. It was just some trash. No, there was a name tag. It said, Deep Engineering.
Mr. Nuncreed's shoulders slumped.
I wish you wouldn't have said that.
A deep sigh bellowed from his chest.
Why did you have to? I tried, Luca. God knows I tried to keep you safe.
Luca attempted to take a step back, but Nuncreed's hand clamped down on his shoulder.
But you Van Horns just can't help yourselves, can you? We were all so close to being done with this.
With a firm shove, Nuncreed manhandled Luca into the phone booth.
What are you doing? It's out of my hands now.
The door latched shut with a mechanical hiss.
Shit.
As Luca pounded the glass, the floor dropped from under his feet. The inside of the phone booth was now a loose capsule plummeting at gravity's whim. Luca winced and pressed his hands to the walls. As he braced for impact, the capsule hurried to a surprisingly smooth stop. He felt a cold rush of air and opened his eyes with hesitance. Two large figures in hazmat suits occluded his view. Luca heard the deep, resigned voice of Mr. Nuncreed over an intercom. He knows too much. The end. Wait. No. This isn't the end. I know there's still much more. Somehow this went wrong. Okay, let's try something else.
All right, so I think the last possible choice that we have right now is this way, to try and go for flight. Luca's mind raced. He was caught in a trap. What do you do when there's no hope? Iggy wiped his cheek with a sleeve. What are you going to do, Luca?
Luca drew himself up and decided to take the only option they had left. Flight. He squinted down the barrel of the mission control defense cannon, aiming it through an opening in the dense tree branches. He looked up with surprise as it struck true and taut.
Wow, I can't believe that worked. Hey, Mr. Kerr, we'd love to hear your thoughts, but I'm afraid we have places to be. Come on, Iggy. See ya, jerks. Fine. We know where that leads them. This way, we'll take the tunnels.
Luca and Iggy winced as they sprinted through the thicket. The branches clawed at them, reluctant to give passage. After what felt like a marathon, Luca stopped in his tracks as they reached the clearing. What the? That was all he was able to say before Iggy slammed into his back. The boys tumbled down a steep decline and crashed with a wheezing thud on a surface as hard as ice. In fact, it was ice. Chapter 5. Signs. They stood silently, catching their breath. The sky was like sapphire. With each breath, a plume of steam escaped from Luca's lungs. Let's keep moving. Luca pulled Iggy to his feet as they gazed across a snowy terrain.
That was actually pretty neat. That was actually pretty badass. Uh-huh. I think we lost him. Are we up in the mountains? I don't think so. If anything, we went downhill. Then what's up with the Winter Wonderland? All I know is there's no going back the way we came. Let's see if we can get our bearings. Follow me. Luca, are you there?
Luca had almost forgotten the walkie-talkie he was carrying.
Is that Bozo Kerr? I hope nothing bad has happened to you out in the
Luca
woods.
looked at Iggy with hesitation.
No need to be rude.
With a resigned sigh, Luca responded.
It seems like the only dangerous things in the woods is you. He speaks, the young man of the hour. Now, how in tarnation did you end up with one of our radios? Just lucky, I guess. Boy, howdy, you Van Horns are full of surprises, aren't you? You knew my parents? I never had the honor of meeting your father, but your mom sure was a handful.
Luca winced, shoving the walkie-talkie back into his pocket.
Getting pretty late, I think. Probably not a great idea to stumble around in the dark anyway.
Luca allowed himself to collapse next to Iggy.
Let's rest for a bit.
The boys huddled together for warmth and comfort. If not for exhaustion, their minds would be racing, trying to make sense of the events of the day. As it was, all they had energy for was to sit in silence, numb.
The way the snow covered everything over. It's kind of calming. Yeah. I haven't had time to say it, but thanks. Huh? For getting us away from those creeps. I sorta froze up back there. Iggy, I should be the one apologizing. This all happened because I lost my temper. Nah, that's bull hockey. First of all, you don't know what that gunk would do. You didn't, right? Of course not. And second, stop with your baloney, with this baloney about losing your temper. But I did lose my temper.
Iggy motioned sarcastically to his half-deformed face.
Obviously. But that's exactly what you should have done. Huh? I was being a horse's ass. You were supposed to be a horse's ass in response. That's how it works. Iggy, I'm having a hard time following. You wanted me to fight you? Well, of course. Geez, you goody-goody types take forever to understand this very basic point. Why would you go around saying cruel things, trying to get into fights?
Iggy shrugged.
It's something to do. You're an asshole because you're bored? Sometimes I just feel empty. You wouldn't understand. You and Rollo are always having a blast together. Laughing, calling. That dinky little treehouse, mission control.
Iggy now wept openly.
Perfect little Luca Van Horn. With his perfect little life. My life is not perfect. Everybody in town likes you. Not everybody. Hell, that new girl hasn't even unpacked yet, and even she already likes you. You have Tish?
He wiped his nose with a sleeve.
I love Tish. Tish is great. But she ain't exactly the world's greatest conversationalist, you know?
Luca gave a warm chuckle.
I get that impression.
Iggy cleared his throat as he wiped his eyes.
Huh. Must be raining out here. Definitely.
Iggy arched into a wide yawn.
We should probably try to get some sleep. Yeah. Let's lay low for now. Tomorrow, we'll get to the bottom of all this.
Luca's eyelids began to slowly drift shut.
Luca? Yeah? I always did want to see the inside of your dinky little treehouse. What do you think? Not bad. I'll give you the full tour when we get back. Laza, what was the last thing you remember? You know what?
That's all Luca could whisper before succumbing to sleep. Iggy snuggled in some more.
Okay, from the walkie-talkie, they kept looking for a way to town. We found the town sign. We threw a snowball at it to clear it off, and it said Beacon Pines, which really, really threw the kids off. We got into this clearing and realized that the whole place looked like Beacon Pines, but deserted, run down, covered in snow. We went across the bridge, we looked down, and we saw that the river had frozen so fast that there were fish still caught in the ice. And then we got to this building and we started to keep going, but we heard that Iggy stopped. So we stopped to turn around and see. Iggy started crying. Iggy basically said he was done. There's no reason to keep going. Everybody they know, they're gone. This place is deserted. It's covered in snow. It's a hellscape. Why go on? Then we had a little heart-to-heart. Iggy talking about why he is the way he is, that he always feels alone. And that there's no way Luca could understand. Luca has everything. He's, the perfect one everybody loves. And so these two are kind of getting on the same page, just as they try to decide what to do. It's getting late, they're getting tired, they're cold, so they decide to get some sleep and try and figure it out in the morning. And that's where we're at right now. Oh, me too. I'm so hooked on this story, it's ridiculous. When it comes to the worst days of my entire life, this one wasn't half bad.
The house smelled of warm bread. Luca was playing with toy blocks on the living room rug. He looked up to see his parents on the couch. His mother held his father's head in her lap. She idly stroked his hair while humming a song. A voice behind Luca spoke. "This is how you remember them, huh?" Luca turned to see his own face. The doppelganger from his dreams, still clad in a yellow hazmat suit, still carrying a look of disdain behind empty eyes. "Aw, look at this perfectly cozy scene. You know it wasn't really like this." The figure picked up a toy block and inspected it. "It's amazing the facades that one can build given the right materials. Not that I blame us. These are a child's memories, all warm and fuzzy. You don't remember, do you?" Lucas snatched the block from the figure's yellow-gloved hand. "Remember what?" The doppelganger pointed to the couch. "The last day we saw him alive. The day he chose to abandon us." Luca turned to look at his father, still lounging on the couch. "That's not true. He didn't abandon us." The doppelganger waved his hand dismissively. "Everything is true here. It's just a matter of what we choose to see. Let me show you." The world flickered and pulsed. Luca was sitting next to his bed, listening to his heartbeat with one of his dad's stethoscopes. The doppelganger limped into the room. Now, we both know that's not how this went." He grabbed Luca's hand and guided the stethoscope to the floor. Luca heard muffled shouting, brought close by the stethoscope. It was his parents, fighting. "Do you remember what we did next?" Luca gave a slow nod and crept down the hall to peek through the banister. He could see the outline of his mother at the bottom of the stairs. "Damn it, Walt, we can't afford to get involved in this." She was scared. His father stepped forward. "What am I supposed to do? Just watch? There's a sickness in this town, and we both know who's behind it. I swore an oath to help people. I won't turn my back on them." Luca's mother grabbed Walt. She was crying, pleading. "I can't lose you." Walt calmly removed Eleanor's hand from his shoulder. "What's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. I could never live with myself if I let Sharper get away with this." Eleanor raised her voice. "Spare me your bullshit platitudes. What about our son?" Luca flinched, dropping the stethoscope down the stairs. Walt turned with a panicked smile. "Luca, is that you, buddy?" With tears in his eyes, Luca descended the stairs. "Mom? Dad? What's going on?" Walt dropped to a knee to meet Luca eye to eye. "Nothing, buckaroo. Your mom and I just got a little overexcited is all." Luca placed the stethoscope against his father's chest. His heart was racing. "It sounded like you were going somewhere?" Walt gently removed the device from Luca's ears. "Listen to me, Luca. I have some business to take care of. I'll be back in time to tuck you in." Luca hugged his father tightly. "Promise?" Walt stood up and walked to the door. He glanced over his shoulder. "I promise." With a wink and a grin, he put on his hat and strode out into the evening sun. A figure approached soundlessly from the foggy snowfall. It stood above them, lingering in contemplation.
It's got a hat and a scarf.
Slowly raising one hand above Iggy, it snapped out 2 brisk raps on his head. From a deep slumber, Iggy sprang up defensively.
"Get your hands off me."
Whether it was the calming presence or the recognition that he was not in danger, Iggy felt his clenched fists lower.
"Just what do you think you're doing?"
Luca looked up, gradually remembering his whereabouts. The figure exhaled a cloud of warm vapor.
Well, you two certainly have caused a lot of commotion. What's that supposed to mean? Take it easy, Iggy. We were asleep minding our own business. You're the one running around knocking on people's heads. I'm sorry if I hurt you, Iggy. You didn't hurt nobody. Anybody. Huh? Oh, I see. You think you're better than me,
When
you...
it came to complete strangers, Iggy had trouble cobbling together an insult.
You big-hatted, scarfy-necked furball. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's lower the temperature a bit here. Interesting choice of words. I mean, let's all calm down. Who are you? A friend? An observer? A hitchhiker on the infinite expanse of possibility. Great. How about a name? If you must call me something, you can call me Nat.
Iggy huffed with gratification.
How about you make like a gnat and buzz off? Very well.
Nat began to turn away indifferently.
Wait, do you live here? You might say that. You know where we are? You might also say that. Look, pal, we just want to find a safe way out of here. You gonna help us or not? Before knowing how to leave, one must know where they are. All right, that does it. Luca, I don't know about you, but I'm getting out of here. One way or another.
Iggy turned sharply and began to stomp off.
Enough with the riddles. Iggy, wait up.
Realizing he'd worn their patience then, Nat relented.
Very well, I suppose this isn't the time for metaphors. I'll show you how to get back home.
Luca and Iggy turned around with hope in their eyes.
Come here.
Nat took a deep breath in.
Close your eyes.
Nat exhaled slowly, then snapped his fingers.
Okay, open them.
For a brief moment, Luca and Iggy let themselves believe that some great magic was about to unfold, until they opened their eyes and found themselves in the exact same place, cold and disheartened.
This is your home. This is Beacon Pines. Look, Nat, we don't know how we got here. Maybe we stumbled through some time travel gate in Weepwood, or we teleported to some alternate universe. Or this is all just some cruel experiment by Kerr and his goons. But this is not our home. You're inching closer to the truth. Alas, the reality is much less fanciful. Just give it to us straight. So be it. As I said, this is Beacon Pines. The original, true Beacon Pines. You both grew up here. But the town you've called your home for the past several years is a replica. A remarkable achievement of engineering, to be fair, but a replica nonetheless. That's impossible. It's too much work. You'd need a whole town to replicate a whole town. Indeed. To pull off such a feat would require immense labor power. That which could be moved would be moved. That which could not would require a precise duplicate. We would have noticed. Someone would have noticed. You'd think so, unless the auditing was impeccable. A mind-numbing attention to detail. As for the innumerable trivialities which complete the tapestry, well, you can leave that to miraculous thing we call a brain. It has a real aversion to discontinuity, a revulsion even. The brain has a wonderful way of smoothing out the rough edges, keeping us sane. Luca and Iggy looked around uncomfortably. So you're saying that someone made an entire new town and moved us all and no one noticed? Precisely. But why? Why is the one question that can never be answered with certainty. The best one can do is to uncover.
Matt narrowed his eyes, furrowed his brow, and uttered,
the source. Why'd you say the source like that? Why indeed?
Luca began to laugh uncomfortably.
It's all ridiculous. There's no way they could.
He looked down at his feet. His eyes darted back and forth in contemplation. With a sudden pain, a thought struck him.
If this really is home...
He sprinted off into the pale distance. As Iggy turned to follow, Nat called out,
Iggy, it's not too late to turn back. Simple head west through Weepwood.
Chapter 6. The Source. Nat expressed his sympathy with a shrug and sauntered off as unassumingly as he'd arrived. He'd given Luca and Iggy what they needed, and nothing more. As Luca sprinted across the snow, the events of the past few days became clearer, pieces to a larger puzzle. Rollo said he was underground somewhere, captured. Mr. Kerr tried to cover it up with lies. The clipboards were hell-bent on capturing Iggy. It all seemed to point to perennial harvest. But right now, there was one thing that Luca needed to know. Luca stopped dead in his tracks. The tree was gone, uprooted and moved, leaving a raw gash in the earth. He dropped to his knees and dug wildly at the cold snow. His numb hands hit something hard, a headstone. A dry whisper escaped Luca's lips.
You're here. All this time, I thought I was visiting you. But you've been here, alone, in the snow. Dad, I'm so sorry. They ruined your favorite spot in the world. Our favorite spot in the world. Dad, what do I do?
There was no reply, just snow-covered silence.
Why'd you give me the slip like that? What if I couldn't find you, you jerk?
Iggy finally noticed the tears welling in Luca's eyes and the snow-covered grave.
Oh. Iggy. They stole his tree, Iggy. Yikes.
Suddenly, they heard the crunch of approaching footsteps in the snow.
We gotta hide. $259K. Fall off distance still look good. Still good. Dude, did you hear me? I said 259. Sorry. You ever think about what we did here? We saved a whole town of people. Doesn't feel like it sometimes. What about everything we left behind? That's the grave of someone with a family. The people who love them will never know the truth. The truth is overrated.
He bent down to scoop up a snowball and lobbed it playfully.
Hey, don't be such a downer, dude. We took this job to change the world. Yeah. Come on. It's almost lunchtime. Weirdo. Here I thought I was a jerk. These dinguses are out here literally dancing on graves.
Luca stuttered through heaving sobs.
I thought I was visiting him. I thought he was with me. Not gonna lie, that's a bad break. Here's some advice.
Iggy gave Luca a solid smack on the back of his head.
Hey, who's any of this helping? What? Sitting here in the snow, crying like some pushover. Who you helping? Iggy, look what they did. They lied to everyone. Blah, blah, blah. Luca Van Horn, you're a lot of things, but you ain't no pushover. What did I tell you before? When some jerks come at you, acting like a horse's ass, I should stand up for myself. Hell yeah. Kern and his merry little band of clipboards pulled off this switcheroo for a reason, right? Nat mentioned something about a source.
Luca wiped his eyes with a sleeve.
Whatever's at the source must be awfully valuable to Perennial Harvest. Sure would be a shame if something unfortunate were to happen to their precious source, wouldn't it? What do you have in mind? If it's small enough to steal, we snatch it. If it's too big to snatch, we smash it. And what if it's too big to smash?
Iggy flashed a mischievous smile and cracked his knuckles.
I'm always up for a challenge. We're gonna make this right, Dad. I promise. Let's do this. It can get awful cold out there in the woods, Luca. Probably best you two stay put and conserve your energy. Help's on the way. Where's Rollo? Where's my mom? Did you kill her? Oh, heavens no. Do I seem like a killer to you?
Iggy and Luca shared a skeptical look.
Well, do I? Aw, shucks. Now that hurts my feelings. Screw that guy. Alright, so we've been that way, We gotta go this way. Past Beacon Pines. Let's go deeper into Beacon Pines. Wait a minute. If this is the original town, then that means...
Iggy darted behind a large pine and began digging furiously. He emerged holding a shoebox with a crude skull painted on its lid.
What's that? Long story. So a few years back, I came into possession of some premium grade fireworks. Not the wimpy firecracker stuff they give kids. The good stuff. So why did you bury it under a tree? That's the long part of the story. You and Rollo were doing chores at Rollo's chicken coop. And you guys pissed me off for some reason or another.
Luca rolled his eyes with realization.
No, you didn't.
Iggy stifled a chuckle.
Yep. I just wanted to give you guys a little scare. But like I said, these were some primo fireworks. So I might have underestimated things. You blew up the chicken coop? I prefer to think of it as an incendiary redecoration. Sorry, but you should have seen the looks on your faces. Rollo got grounded for months, which is why I needed to stash the evidence and lay low. So I buried him under that tree. But when I came back for him later, they were gone. I figured some grown-up found them and tossed them.
Iggy triumphantly raised the shoebox.
Turns out, it wasn't the fireworks that got moved. It was us. Unbelievable. Do you think this is a game? Newsflash, boyo. You're not a hero. You're a little brat who is in way over his head. A hero is just someone who refuses to give up. Comics these days are rotting children's brains. Everyone thinks they're a spaceman superhero. I was always partial to Hank Atomic myself. Is that so? Do you really think you have a chance against us? You have no idea how powerful we are. Prepare for blast-off, loser.
Luca and Iggy inched up to the edge of the hole with bewilderment in their eyes. Arctic air breathed out of the cavern in heaving gusts.
Echo, echo, echo. Whoa. I can see why they wanted to move us all out of town now. But why would they dig a giant hole? I think this is it. This is the source? It's a dang hole? How do we smash a hole? Oh, it's much more than that, my annoying little friend. Kerr, where's Rollo? I wasn't lying before. He's safe. Well, safer than you two at least. Drat, it's cold. You just had to drag me all the way over here, didn't you?
Mr. Kerr gazed down the abyss in contemplation.
It really is something, isn't it? What did you do to our town? What is all of this? Well, that's a doozy of a question. This is the source, where they collected the unrefined...
Kerr scratched the back of his head.
Honestly, boys, I don't understand any of this well enough to explain it. Fact of the matter is, I'm not paid to know. What do you mean you don't know? Ain't you in charge? Oh, heavens no. My role is merely to flash a winning smile and manage various complications. Complications like us? You are a smart boy.
His face contorted into a saccharine grin.
It really is nothing personal. Some people are destined to strive for greatness, and others are simply obstacles along the way. Seems like you were destined to be a creepy lackey. The point is that we all play our part in life. Mine just happened to be a lead in a role of a lifetime. And you happen to be extras, ready for your curtain call. We aren't giving up without a fight. Your smile's not going to be winning after we're done with you. No, boys. There's no need for melodrama. It makes even a professional such as myself embarrassed for you. Let's change the mood a bit.
Kerr snapped his fingers.
Scene change. There. That's better. Deal with them.
Iggy turned to Luca with a sly glance.
Why are you smirking? Because I have a box full of fireworks and you don't.
Iggy waved the box into the air, threatening to drop it down the hole.
Stop. Let's not do something regrettable. Joke's on you. Regret is one of my specialties. Out of curiosity, what would happen if I threw these in your precious hole? Nothing. Nothing at all. You're a terrible liar. I'll have you know, I'm an exceptional liar. Bup. That's far enough.
Iggy plucked a single bottle rocket from the box and held it up with reverence.
Stop, you fool. Call off your goons.
After a long pause, Mr. Kerr flung up his hand with frustration.
Very well. You all can head back for the night. It's been a long day. I'll handle these two from here.
Mr. Kerr sighed into the frigid air.
It's just us now, Iggy. You can put that down. What? Like this?
With a nonchalant flick, Iggy tossed the firework into the hole.
Ooh. Whoa.
With a growl, Kerr leapt at Iggy, crashing through Luca. Iggy tried to twist away, but in the struggle they both tumbled over the side. Luca dove forward, bracing Iggy's hand just before it slipped. His grip was made precarious by the cold, wet snow. He could see Kerr further down, clinging to Iggy's coat.
You reckless child. What have you done? Luca, listen to me. Hold on tight and use the walkie-talkie to call them back. How, what channel do I use? It doesn't make a damn difference. They're always listening. If you do that, the clipboards will just haul us up and snag us both. The only way you get out of this is Kerr is out of the picture. Just let go and save yourself. If he lets go, we both die. I don't want to die, but seeing the look on your face almost makes it worth it. Mr. Kerr, you've had a long life. Why don't you actually do something selfless and just let go?
Mr. Kerr gasped with insult.
Long life? I'll have you know, I can still play 25. You should have heard me sing the part of Phileas Young.
With a wild look in his eye, Mr. Kerr began to hum a proud melody.
Wow. Can you believe this guy?
Luca's hand began to cramp. His voice began to crack.
Kerr, just let go. No can do. If you want to save your friend, you'll have to save me too. Luca, look at me. It's okay.
Luca felt Iggy loosen his grasp.
You aren't going to kill your friend like that, are you?
Every muscle in Luca's body burned.
I'm not his friend. Yes, you are. Nah, I'm just a no-good bully. Like you, Kerr. Iggy, no.
Luca felt his hand slipping.
And I told you what you need to do with bullies. I can't. It's your only way out of this mess. 2 birds with 1 stone. It makes sense for us to follow together. Wackadoos travel in packs.
A calm settled over Iggy's face.
Luca, let me do this.
Iggy's voice was colder than the bitter air billowing from the chasm.
Let me do the right thing for once. We have refuse and accept. Ernest
Luca had
Harworth
no
refuse.
choice but to refuse Iggy's request. He tightened his grip and reached for the walkie-talkie in his pocket. A wild delight crept onto Mr. Kerr's face. "That's a good lad. Now, radio for help." Iggy begged Luca with his eyes one last time, but Luca pressed the button and called out, We need help. Mr. Kerr is in danger." It wasn't long before they were once again surrounded by clipboards. Mr. Kerr sighed with relieved frustration. "There you are. You really are a worthless lot, aren't you? Mirror, now." A clipboard dutifully produced an ornate ivory hand mirror, and Mr. Kerr began preening his tousled hair. "Ah, that's better. Mr. Van Horn, I applaud your sharp thinking under duress. I'll put in a good word for you with the founder. Take them away." A
Right.
swarm of hands overpowered Luca. The last thing he saw before a cloth bag was pulled over his head was the defeated look on Iggy's face. The end. I think this was one of those times where doing the right thing was the wrong thing.
Once more with feeling.
Luca had no choice but to accept Iggy's request. With a quiet blink, Luca watched a teardrop sail down into the howling void. As his fingers slowly gave up, he met eyes with Iggy.
Good.
The two silhouettes were swallowed by darkness.
Hell of a goodbye, Iggy. Luca, you really should step back. What? Quickly. Curious. Ah, but of course. Those fireworks of Iggy's must have been just the right amount of energy. We should get out of here before perennial harvest arrives. Not until you tell me what just happened. Your friend's sacrifice just saved this town. For a little while, anyway. How? Tempus liquamine is a peculiar substance. It can change the relationship between matter and time itself. But doing so requires unfathomable energy. In a closed system, that energy can only come from its surroundings. A useful side product of this property being, by adding precisely the correct amount of energy to it, one can create a cryogenic cascade. So the gunk makes things cold? And the fireworks made of the whole freeze over? That's one way of putting it, yes. As dumb luck would have it, the fireworks were strong enough to generate a runaway reaction. I shudder to think what would have happened in that case.
We have some idea what that would look like.
It will take them a good while to safely break through and access the source again. If you know all this stuff, why haven't you been helping? I have been, in my own way. Each of us has our role to play. Iggy's role, it turns out, was to buy us precious time. Mine has been to observe and wait. Wait for what? You. Me. Why? What's my role?
A fierce twinkle flashed in Nat's eyes.
Luca Van Horn. You are going to save the world.
With a chuckle, Nat turned and walked west. Dumbfounded, Luca followed behind him, trudging through the snow. Every step taking him further away from everyone and everything he knew, and closer to destiny. To be continued in Beacon Pines, Pines Harder.
Beacon Pines, Pines Harder.
Revenge served cold. Second time's a charm? Wait, that's it? This ends with a crummy cliffhanger just when it was getting good? I was even starting to like Iggy. No way. I refuse to be associated with some never-ending parade of sequels. Let's go back and find something more definitive.
All right, before we do that, I do want to go back to a point where we can fish real quick. So we have gotten a lot of new...
We were just
We're just
gonna
gonna skip through this quickly.
Ponder for the day. This was Luke. Nailed it.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the fishing spot real quick. Because there was... Every time we used a new lure with a new charm, we got a new little piece of memorabilia from his past. So I want to see if we can... Yep. You're running.
Chapter 2. Welcome. For many, it was over the until in the 60s.
I, too, would have chucked the radio at Kerr.
Whenever Luca saw his dad, it reminded him of the days they'd pack up a couple of sandwiches and fish until sundown.
Oh, I guess that is all of the, Okay.
Luca gently good for skim.
All right, well. Let's go find the other ending. Amid a blur of emotions and memories, Luca's mind flooded with questions. The wind calmed as if to give him the stage.
And in the stillness, he began to hum. After the death of his father, Luca had trouble sleeping. Each night, his mother would sit at the foot of his bed and hum a gentle melody. It was the only thing that could calm his mind. The only thing that, however briefly, could make it all seem okay. That melody pervaded every memory Luca had of his mother. Shivering in the raw snow, he began to hum it out loud. Gran lowered the torch, listening closely. As recognition slowly set in, her heart sank. Those countless nights of consolation, the incomparable loss they shared together. She let the torch fall to the snow and sizzle out. A few steps toward Luca was all she could bear before dropping to the snow herself. through a flood of tears, she began to hum along, note for note.
This is beautiful. It was both haunting and beautiful.
Luca lifted his head in astonishment. The last time he heard that melody was the last night he saw his mother.
How do you know? I'm so sorry, my little buckaroo. Buckaroo? The only people who called me that are my dad and your mother.
Luca blinked through blurry, watery eyes, trying to see more clearly. He could just make out the impression of a familiar face. He peered across the snowscape at the woman on her knees. Something about her was undeniably his mother. Only smaller, older, changed.
Mom? That's right, buckaroo. Mom!
Luca sprinted as fast as he could toward his mother. They held each other close, and the cold retreated from their bodies.
Eleanor? I thought you were gone. You should have known I would never abandon my son.
Eleanor looked down at Luca, tightening her embrace in an appeal for forgiveness.
How? You're a smart man, Joseph. I thought you'd have pieced it together by now. You were exposed. Mom, I don't understand any of this. What happened to you? Where did you go? Why did you leave me? I never left you. I was always right here, Luca. Why did you lie to me? It tore me up, Luca, but I did it to keep you safe. I thought that getting answers would help us both move on. But the more I discovered, the more I realized the danger we were in. Until perennial harvest was stopped, it was better if everyone thought I was gone. You could have trusted me. These are bad people, Luca. They won't stop until they get what they want, and they don't care who gets hurt in the process. Then what do we do? We have to stop them.
Joseph slumped into the cold, wet snow.
They can't be stopped. This is too big. I tried beating them at their own game. I'm done fighting fire with fire.
For the first time in a long time, her voice felt like her own again.
No more lies. I see now. There's a better way to stop perennial harvest. The cold, hard truth.
Luca gazed down at Nuncreed with pity. He looked small. Joseph stared into the snow as if searching it for answers.
Come on, everyone. We've got a party to crash. You don't understand. He always wins.